joining us.
Okay, been in town for about 21 years now. Various committees over the years, once I retired. Eclectic background. Yeah, happy to join you.
And you're representing the Housing Authority.
Mhm.
How long have you been on the Housing Authority?
2 years, 3 years? Yeah, they run into each other.
Yeah.
One runs into the next.
Well, we're happy to have you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of previous meeting minutes, and I just want to say that Sheila, who's the clerk and is not able to be here today, met with Paul last week. And if you go into the town website, you'll notice that there aren't any minutes on the website for any of the meetings back to January. And so we spoke to Paul about it, and Kayla is going to put them together and have Sheila sign them if they haven't been signed, and get them to the town clerk's office so that they're on the website for all of the meetings that are on the website. Now, as I say, it goes back to January. I think it's January 5th is the meeting that first is on there for the website. So so we don't have any minutes for the last meeting for today either.
Sounds
Too.
worse than. it
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
is.
you're right. You're absolutely right. We didn't meet when there was no reason
Yeah,
to,
but
right?
we want to, but we gotta
Yep,
get them back. And
okay.
Yeah, I want to get, I want to get all of the minutes going back to January for the meetings that we've had on the website. And I think we all know under open meeting law that anybody can request copies of them at a certain point.
Mhm.
But that's obviously a work for them. So I think it's better, and I think we look better if we have the minutes on there. Right now, there aren't any minutes listed
Agree,
on the website.
agree. Yeah.
So that's something that I want to work on.
That's true for a lot of boards and commissions.
Yeah.
I think some of it might have to do because it's a new website for the town. So I'm not sure how some stuff got moved over from the old website. I'm not sure.
I know that there was an issue with the reports, because we did have more info on old projects
Mhm.
that Debbie had done
Mhm.
some work on the website, and then that didn't carry over from old to the new, so it's possible. that maybe
Yeah,
some-
something got lost in the shuffle. Okay, so I just want people to be aware that we're working on it and our thoughts on how we want to proceed and get that taken care of. So the next item, actually, I think I'm going to go to the number 3 item, which is the item that Ed sent in on the Wiley Park.
Okay.
And I think you've all received information on it that Paul sent out. And he's looking for some additional monies for the Wiley Park playground for the canopy, I guess you'd call it. And Ed's on with us today. And I have a couple of questions, Ed.
Sure.
For the information you have. The first question that I have is, you have the proposed budget. The listing of the proposed budget that was on the agenda.
You know what? I don't have a copy of the agenda.
Oh,
I have a copy of my application. Is that what you?
You mean on the application, the proposed budget in the application?
The proposed budget in the application?
Yeah, no, I'm not looking at the quotation. I'm looking at the application. Yeah, you have a proposed budget on there.
Yeah, right.
And you have a 10% contingency listed for $500.
Yes, Yeah.
If the project is 55,000, I think 10% is $5,000.
that's
Paul,
what-
that good calculating, Paul, when you put this together.
I'm sorry?
That was it's a typo. I
No,
missed-
Paul put these figures together. I tell you, the truth, I just had my knee replaced last week, so I haven't really been keeping up with this. Yeah, that should be 5,000 then.
It's a typo. I missed a zero.
So if it's 5,000, then the total isn't 55.
Okay,
Because
let's re-add them.
31 for the equipment and 18 for installation, that's 30, 40, that's 49, 50. 55 would be more than 55, right?
I got a calculator out. I'm doing this fast.
I'm sorry?
I got a calculator out and I'm doing this fast.
Oh,
The quote was 50,694.
If you
Yeah.
add up all the numbers on the page, it's 54,703. Is that right?
Are you doing 500 or 5,000?
I did 5,000.
Okay.
So we're asking for 55, so we're over that.
Little bit, yeah.
I get 50, 56 or more.
Do you?
57.
50,694.88 plus 5,000.
You're taking the 5694 here and then adding 5,000 to it, so it's, is that what it is?
No, the total quote,
Yeah, it's 5694.
no, 50,694.
50,698 plus 5,000
Plus 5. Right?
is 55,698.
93.
9488.
Oh, okay,
It has to end in a 3.
at 3, okay, so it's 55,693 point. So do we want to just round it up to 60,000?
You know what? Paul, does the $693 make a difference? Just keep it at 55?
Well, I'm just concerned with the way things are going with supply chain issues
I
and everything
agree.
else. I'd
Well,
almost,
let's
I
go to
think I'd
60.
rather have you go to 60 and not come back.
Well, I
Well-
think it's easier to, it's cleaner if we can get to a round number.
Yes.
And all, but the other part is, I'm anticipating that we're still gonna have 20,000
Right.
left over from this phase.
Yeah.
So we should, I'm comfortable we're gonna have enough money,
Well,
probably
anyway,
be returning back money, but.
Right.
this
well,
is-
that's a good question. Do they return back money and take new, or do they use the 20,000? They can't use it towards this.
Yeah,
Yes,
you sure we
and-
can. It was in the original budget.
Yeah.
We could use can't we use the 20,000 in addition to this?
Right, so the plan would be the 20,000,
Spend
use
the
the
20,000
first, and then,
Then we only need 40.
Well,
Well, yeah.
I was just trying to go with the
Yeah.
quote, so it all.
yeah, if,
There's still
if there aren't any other unforeseen expenses, yeah.
But I have another question, Ed, because two
Sure.
of the items under the Wiley Park Recreation under past years, there's money that's left over for two of them. One is 9,000 on Tina's sheet and one is 46, so
Yeah, I don't think there's
No.
46
There's not.
because there's been money that's been paid out recently.
mhm.
I mean,
Not a-
Paul put these figures together just last week, so they're more accurate in our proposed budget than what Tina had given us, because Tina's paid some bills since then.
Well, we certainly have money in the budget to allow them to put, maybe just place 60,000 out there and then let it all recap and recoup later. Is that the easiest
Nine-
way to do this?
So if you don't mind, let's just go into this other piece just for a
Fine.
minute, because it's, so. Wiley Park Phase 1, there's $9,000 left. That's for the design and engineering. I'm waiting on potentially one more invoice from the contractors.
Mhm.
But likely it's not gonna be $9,000, but that was for a separate part of the project. Phase 2 is for the construction, that's 46,000 number. We've already paid invoices, so there's
So-
less than 46,000. And once we pay the final invoice to the contractor, I'm estimating that we're gonna have around $20,000. That's the 20,000.
Oh, that's where the 20,000 is coming from out of the 46. Okay.
So I put the number in, the 55,000 number in, just so that it would be consistent with the quote. So that kind of all went along, so we could go back in time, you could go back and see, okay, this lined up. But in reality, I anticipate that we're gonna use the 20,000 left over from phase one and make up the difference with this, and we'll be returning money back, but
Under this. You'll be
Right.
returning
Yeah.
money.
yeah, I'm not anticipating that we're gonna spend whatever it's
75,000.
gonna be 60, 70, 80,000, it's not gonna be that much, but also. Well. That's.
Well,
what it
that's-
is.
that
So
brings
we're gonna
up-
ha- we're-
that
we're
brings
gonna
up
have
my
more money than
question.
We're gonna need, but
Right, but that brings up my question. We had an allocation, a previous application, they didn't use all the money. Don't we still have to approve the request of what's being asked for? So we have to approve the 55,000 regardless of how it's paid.
And we just don't spend it all if we get.
And if
20,000
they,
left
yeah,
over
if we got
from there.
20,000 left over, it'll come off, but certainly this group has to approve the application to spend the $55,000.
In one way or another.
So
Right.
that was going to relate to my question, I think, which is the Wiley Park Phase 2 did include the shade, right?
Right.
And the difficulty was that the new estimates for the shade came out a lot more than
Originally
originally
anticipated.
anticipated.
what was really the bid for the whole construction came in more than we
Yes,
thought, and so
yes.
we weren't gonna have enough to
Right.
purchase the shade.
So rather than a new application, can we just approve additional funding for the original application?
Well,
Well,
so
actually,
it-
that's what this is. This is just
That's
an
what I
amended,
understood this to be,
this is just an amended application.
not a new project.
So it's not
It's-
a new project going into the new
No,
site.
well, that's, yeah, so that's why I just did this one pager,
Right.
but it has to get voted on. The money's gonna get voted on as a new article, and it's gonna be
Okay.
allocated for
All right.
FY 24, so it's gonna basically be,
A supplemental request to the
Right.
original
Right.
application.
but
Correct.
we have to process it as if it's
Yes.
another.
And
got-
you
new-
have to be in the warrant.
Yes,
Have to be in
absolutely.
the warrant.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So we're gonna spend down the 20,000 left on the phase one. And then whatever else we need from this 55 will cover the gap, and then we'll return unspent funds after the shade shelter's completed.
So it seems to me that
That
we,
way-
we
sorry.
should vote on a motion to approve $55,000
Correct.
Yeah,
at this
I would
point.
agree with you.
We have plenty of money to take care of anything extra. And it's too confusing in my mind to go to town meeting and talk about 55, 30, 20. This, I'd just like to approve the 55,000 application, and that way the people at town meeting will vote on the 55,000.
Because that's basically what it's gonna cost to do it.
Yeah, and they should know that, right? I mean,
Right.
why wouldn't they? So, and we all know that money's gonna come back, so what? That's a good thing. So unless anybody has a different idea, unless you think it would sell publicly better at 35,000, which I don't think so, I just as soon do the
Ah.
55.
See, I think if we do 35,000, then we're cutting ourselves short again. If
Yeah.
costs go up and then we may
Yeah.
fall
I
short
agree.
again.
I agree.
So the only, unless, I don't know if you know of other active recreation applications coming in, but there's plenty in the reserve account. This is
Yeah.
not a huge amount. And so we're not, there's plenty to cover that. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, at the last meeting, I said, well, we might have another application because of the surfacing behind town hall, the playground surfacing. But after further research and a commitment from a contractor that we believe will hold up, we'll have enough money. We don't need any additional money.
Ed, did you have to get 3 quotes?
Yeah. Paul, did we get 3 quotes?
We didn't for this because we
Oh.
are purchasing this through a state contract, so it's been pre-vetted. So we're already getting the
The
best
best
available
price.
price.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you need a motion to approve?
So, yeah, yes,
Supplemental request for fiscal year 24 for 55,000 for the Wiley Park Recreation Facility rehab. So
do I have a second?
I'll second. You can
Okay.
let her second.
Carolyn and Joanna?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All in favor? Carolyn,
yes,
Eileen? Dan,
Yes,
Joanna,
Yes,
Ed,
Yes,
and Mary. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
Six.
to 0.
just a procedural question, since Ed, the recreation is the applicant and Ed's the applicant.
no,
on
the town,
committee?
the town is the applicant.
Oh, okay, I just wonder how that works.
that's how it works.
Because when open space does an application, I'm the rep, so.
You would be allowed to vote.
Okay,
Yes.
great,
Absolutely.
thanks.
Okay.
Thank
so-
you, people. Thank you.
So we have that for, that's for 55,000. Okay. So now I'd like to go back to the agenda there and item number 2, actually review ongoing CPA project status. And again, when Sheila and I met with Paul last week, we went through the entire list of outstanding projects, I guess you'd call it. Because I feel very strongly that, well, number one, we haven't been getting the final report form back from any of these that are,
you've had final reports from the Housing Trust. They were before we adopted the new format.
Yeah.
but-
oh, yeah, no.
That's
but,
part of the stuff that
and
we had
so
it. It
you
was on the
have-
website. It didn't carry over.
Right.
So we have to get those back, but not under the new format.
Yeah, right. So there are a number of items on here that have been completed that we don't have final reports from. And I think it's important to get them completed, and so the monies can go back to the proper locations as far as whatever the type of project it was, excuse me, preservation or open space or housing or what have you. And so there are some here also that I think that we discussed when the contingency or the conditions call for a project to be finished and it's not finished. I mean, it's not completed and we still have monies outstanding. That I think it's important to perhaps ask some of the folks associated with those projects to come in and tell us exactly what's going on, because according to us, the condition called for it to be finished and we still have monies outstanding. We don't have a final report. So I'd like to get this whole listing cleaned up and get things in order. Now, some of the items on here, Paul is involved with, and he can bring us up to speed on, but others aren't. And so I just wanted to get people's thoughts on proceeding in that way to clean this up, because I think it's necessary to get the monies. If the project is completed, we need to get the monies back into the proper funds to be available for the next cycle. Does anybody have,
Well, I agree.
This
It is a
great.
requirement of the grant that they do submit the final reports.
Yeah.
Some of these have dragged on for several years and some of them are current. So I think your point is well taken. I think we need to wrap up everything that we think is final to do our job, which is to make sure that we have a final report, that it goes on to the town website, and then we release the funds. So absolutely agree.
If I'm looking at the report, they were all either to be finished in fiscal year in 23. So even the ones that are July 1, 22, that's this fiscal year, right? So I don't see any really old ones on this list.
I'm
Well,
going through it
that's
now.
my question. This is actually, there's a whole bunch that have been finished and
Right.
that aren't on the list, that
Right.
don't have reports. So in my mind, I agree.
So
Those are the
that's not On
ones.
this list then. That's a
Right.
different list?
Yeah, you're right. This list doesn't have
This is new.
any overdue reports showing.
This is just the list of the projects that have remaining balances.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
gotcha. So you have a different list, Mary, than we do of projects that are completed.
No, it's the
No,
same. This
no.
is the list that we got from Tina
Tina,
last week. So
Okay.
we're just there's a bigger issue of old projects that need to be tracked down and closed out with a report, but
Right.
this started with
monies.
money.
Okay,
And so
so let's segregate those or separate those two discussions. So focusing on ones where there's potential money to come
Right,
back
right,
to us
right, right.
first. Okay,
Right, right.
that's what this list is.
Right, right.
Okay,
So look at, I think you have the same list I'm looking at. So look at the first item, Field of Dreams
looking
construction.
at this one, Mary.
yeah, that's,
Oh, that's Tina,
Yeah.
the spreadsheet I sent out.
Oh,
Yeah.
Not everyone got Tina's.
oh,
She,
she passed it out.
well,
she
she did.
didn't, at the
Yeah,
meeting,
Yeah, she passed it out at a meeting. Yeah.
no,
I don't
she
remember.
didn't have enough copies
Right.
to give
She
everybody.
didn't, we didn't
Mary.
get that.
You got a copy, but not everybody did.
Yeah, I had trouble reading this.
Well, if you put it on your phone, you can
I
make
have
it
it on my
bigger.
phone and I turned my phone off.
Right.
So it
It's
was
there.
very well, we were having a meeting.
So
So
just that top one, when you have not applicable, it's because it's not done yet, so you wouldn't expect it, except
Right,
for the
right.
top one, I think that's an error. The first one does say project complete, so it should be final report received, no.
Right, right.
Okay, that's the only error I found, but,
oh, I see what you're
yeah.
saying, yes.
but the rest are not applicable means they're not due yet.
Right.
Because, yeah,
Ed,
Yeah,
are you in a position to give us a final report on Field of Dreams Phase One?
well, actually, the only thing we're waiting for right now is the fencing, and then everything will be at the Field of Dreams except for the new playground surfacing will be done.
And so there is a fencing requirement or shown in Phase One?
I can read yours better.
You can.
I believe, I'm not sure if it's in phase one or if it's in that
Phase
next
two.
one, Field of Dreams project. Paul, would you
I
know?
guess that it begs the question whether or not Field of Dreams Phase One is complete if you're doing a
Yeah.
fence and it was part of Phase One.
Yeah, that was, so that was. After I sent this out, I double checked with Christine, the rec department. Because we were trying to figure out if there might be other funds used for the fencing. And so I'm not able to confirm that yet, so I put complete, but I would amend that to say I would like to hold that open until we confirm where the
But-
fence monies come
but
from.
that should be phase two, that's construction.
Oh,
It
sorry, I
wouldn't
thought
be
you-
phase one, which is design and engineering.
Phase one is done.
Done, right, so that could have a report.
Ed, is
But,
it, is
yeah.
Phase One design done?
Yes,
So you could write a report for a
1,000.
closeout on that.
sure.
Let's do that.
It's gonna be one report. It's all
Yeah,
one project.
yeah.
All one, so it doesn't matter whether it's one or two. So we wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Now, the Cape Housing Institute, that is something that we have approved every year now for a number of years for 7,500 for the workshops.
Mhm.
And Paul and I don't understand how there's a remaining balance of 15,000. It would look like for 2 years we haven't paid. That we've never received a.
We probably never got a bill.
That's right, because we don't
We
pay unless
have,
we get a
they said.
bill.
They did?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, When did you find out about that?
I had them check and they never sent us an invoice. So we did get one. They did send it. I got it last week.
Okay,
Because you called them and they,
yeah.
Yeah.
So-
So now they get the money.
I'm serious.
I understand. You're right.
Well, they.
Well, we did commit it. They are due it. If they're lax on invoicing,
But that would mean that they don't need the money.
I
because
agree with you.
because the workshops have been completed.
Not necessarily.
Well,
And
sure,
that,
they've paid, yes. I mean, how can you say that if they bought food and they've had speakers and whatever, I mean, I've attended, as I know you have, many of those.
yes,
They're,
but we can't comment on their internal,
billing
lack
cycle.
lack of.
no,
We can comment.
yeah. I think that's a slippery slope.
Okay,
The reality is, for whatever reason, they didn't submit the invoices, now they have. So the invoices have been received.
so that 15,000 will go to zero.
We'll go to zero.
Okay. Well, we did agree to pay it, so,
So that's, we're paying 2 years.
2
after the
years.
fact.
but
right.
it's been allocated. In other words,
It's been approved.
it's been approved, allocated and voted at a town meeting. So, yes,
But don't they have to show a bill?
will.
apparently he just, Paul
Well,
got
and that
one.
it actually occurred.
Now,
guess-
now that we told them that they never
Yeah.
sent us one.
Yes,
Well, and it's just the accountability that it actually happened and they spent money, whether they forgot to bill or not. But if
Okay.
COVID, canceled it for a year,
And they've had
then that
tur-
would come
they've
back
had
to the
s-
account.
Significant turnover in their finance staff.
I'm sorry, what,
They've
Carolyn?
had significant turnover in their financial management staff.
Okay.
So things probably just fell through the cracks.
For 2 years.
But did the Institute, it's happened during
yes.
Oh,
COVID?
yeah, I've attended and I know,
Yeah.
I know Carolyn.
And there's
Good.
another one coming up that
Yep.
I would,
Yeah, right,
Okay.
okay. Let me see. Down below the Nauset Lighthouse, there's a little bit of money left over there. That would be, Art Arena.
I spoke to Art, he said the project's done, so the remaining funds can go back and he is working on the final report.
Final report,
So that's historic preservation,
right, right.
which is
Now-
good because they have a low, low reserve.
Now, a number of these items that have monies haven't even begun because of of issues associated with the supply and demand and of goods, I mean, the things that you need to get to go.
It haven't started because of me.
No, it's nothing to do
No, I'm
with
just,
you.
no, it is. And some of those,
Uh,
the software ones, we
the
have to just get
software,
the
yeah,
software going, so
yeah.
that's on me.
Now,
Excuse this is
um,
the truth.
Actually, the open space monitoring 6,000 one, that is not the software issue thing. Those are the other two open space ones. I believe that 6,000 is for the ECF that is going to hold the conservation restrictions and monitor them. Isn't that the case? That $6,000, I just know that's the amount. And it's held up because the conservation restrictions submitted by the town are still sitting with town council apparently, despite them being submitted several years ago. So there's nothing to monitor if those don't get busted loose from town council and up to the state for approval.
so what's the timing on?
The ECF has no control over, we've been, Mark Robinson got contracted to actually do that and get them all together and put them up for the state, and they're stuck with, we bugged Jackie multiple times and Paul will do it again, right?
Yeah,
maybe,
we're trying to.
Or
get
have
it-
Keith do it. But that's the holdup.
Okay, so this, and I know we spoke on Wednesday about the Schoolhouse Museum, that's an issue, an interesting situation too. From what I understand, the schoolhouse decided to fix the windows prior to approval of the monies that they were asking us for. And the work has been done, and now there's some issues associated with the work. And so we're waiting for them to deal with the problem, I guess, right? Is
Yeah.
that true?
Yeah, I think there was some issue with the material they used for the windows wasn't, didn't work as designed, and they're trying to figure out if there's a warranty or coverage, or if they need to try to get their money back, or so. I'm just waiting for more info from,
From
Yeah.
Art and.
Schoolhouse Museum folks.
well, that's an interesting question. If there's a remaining balance of 3,600, how much have we,
Nothing has been paid.
nothing's been
No,
paid.
that was the amount.
Okay.
They
See,
basically paid it themselves ahead of time because they
Right.
had the opportunity to get the work done before the funds are gonna
I
be
understand.
available, and they're gonna just reimburse themselves, I guess. But they don't know if they're trying to get their money back, if they're gonna pay.
So
'cause the product
obviously,
didn't work.
obviously, we are not going to authorize the payment of the invoice unless it all gets straightened out.
Correct.
Is that correct? Or we
They've already,
obligated?
the town hasn't paid for anything, which is
Right.
good, but we, we
Well, I
gotta
guess
figure
it-
out what they're gonna be at, when they ask for the money, we have to figure out, is it to, because they rectified the situation, well, I don't know what it is with the.
Right.
They fixed the situation and that's basically where we have to get to, and now once they're satisfied, they'll ask for the reimbursement, but the town hasn't paid anything towards this.
Okay.
So I don't think that we should pay anything until the situation is rectified. I mean, that would be my,
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would.
I think the only thing that's weird is because they decided to prepay. Normally,
right, they would.
what would happen is we
Normally
get the
yeah.
invoice from the company. I contact the Schoolhouse Museum, verify that the
Mhm.
work's done and it's all set and everyone's happy, and then we would pay it. And if that were the case, they would have said, no, something's wrong, so we're not paying it yet.
Right.
It's just,
Yeah,
Okay.
sort of messy.
So if in the course of this, that they end up spending more than $3,600, we're only on the hook for $3,600, right?
correct.
Yes,
And the last item here is just the $380 that has to do with the purchase of the Massasoit Road building. So I don't know who would, the town needs to do whatever they need to do to get the 380 back.
No, it's in the account.
It would go
Never
to
was.
Beckton to
It
historic.
wasn't
No, I realize
drawn.
It
it wasn't drawn on.
Right.
Oh,
It's
oh.
sitting in the account,
So
in our accounts.
it's in the historic preservation account.
Well, it'll go back out
Go
of,
back to the historic
Right,
preservation.
right.
So somebody, will Tina just move it out and?
Well, do we have a letter?
Do we have to
Do we have a
get
letter saying it's been completed?
completed?
That gets into that issue. Probably not.
If you've got the deed registered in county court, isn't that good?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a letter, so I don't know how you, I guess,
No,
it's up- how do you
Who
want
who
to?
would write a letter?
summary
No, you just
report.
go to the registry of deeds, and if the town owns it, town owns it.
Well,
I
if,
thi-
Then I'd like a letter from the
Well,
town
the
saying.
one-page final
Why are
report
we
would
gonna,
work.
why are we gonna treat the towns any differently
Different
than
than
any
anybody
other
else.
application?
Right.
If we're responsible to get a closeout letter, let's get a closeout
Yeah.
letter. And then everything
let's
matches.
use the term we've started to use, a
Final
closeout
report.
Final report.
Final
final
report that is now available in the standard format.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So it should be maybe from
From the,
Jackie? or-
yeah, Jackie.
Yeah.
the town.
Is that?
I think it's a fair thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's fair to make everybody do the same thing.
Now another issue that I'd like to bring up is the housing coordinator. And we started out saying that we were going to approve monies to have a housing coordinator. And at some point, there were some monies from us and some monies from the town, and then the town took it over. So this is 40,000 that isn't being used because the person is a full-time
So that-
employee of the town.
that money's no longer needed for,
Right,
go
for
back to the
for that
CPA.
position. So.
salary's been absorbed into the,
And it's
So
So
town
can we
budget.
get a letter from the town saying they completed the project so we can put the money back in, like we're doing everything else? I mean, are we trying to keep the
I will-
system going?
Well, Tina had said in a prior meeting that that money was being transferred to the general fund. And that's not the case. It's going back to the affordable housing
Certainly isn't the general. fund.
CPA
Yeah,
fund.
shouldn't lose it from the.
Right, so that should be just made
Clarified.
clear that it is going back to
Into
the
the-
affordable
So
housing.
Who would write the final report?
well, I will.
Okay, you'll take it.
Okay. Okay.
Just what you need, another thing to do.
Well, I have some news on that when we get
Oh,
there.
good. Because
Well, wait, that doesn't sound good.
Not bad. I don't think it's bad.
All right, okay, all right.
because that's what, at the meeting on Wednesday, I offered to do an assortment of things. He said, no, that's my job. And I said, I'm trying to do some things to help
Right.
you out. And he said, no, it's my job.
No, I appreciate the offer. It's just, you know how it is. Sometimes it's more work
Oh, I know.
To bring
Some-
somebody else in to do it.
to
And I
help,
agree with
to
you.
help the person trying to help.
When
them.
I ran my business, I was exactly that way. It was
Yeah.
easier for me to do it myself than explain it to somebody else.
But I appreciate the offer.
Anyway, another item that I'd like to bring up is the town hall preservation. And originally that came in at much higher, and that was including the roof, and then that was taken because of the disaster that we had and water seeping through and having a torrent of water into the financial area there. They got insurance, Silvio got insurance to take care of the roof. So now we're down to I think it was 300,000. And now we've changed, not changed, but Silvio has left and we have a new DPW director, John Ruffley. And I would like to perhaps ask him to come, I'll ask you, hasn't been here very long to know exactly what the story is on the town hall situation, but would it make sense to ask him to join us, or should we wait, or?
Well, we're gonna put in another application, so we're gonna need additional funding. So he will be here. And you'll be able to talk with him about it.
Okay,
Okay,
So we have,
for this year, for this coming fiscal year?
yeah, so there's been some money spent out of this already
Yeah.
for the architectural evaluation. And based on that reporting,
You know.
the
that-
remaining money that's in
this
here
must be enough.
isn't gonna cover the work that's needed. So we're gonna have another request for additional funding for that project, which we'll put in this year. I don't know I don't know how much yet.
So, so will that be in time before? Should we expect that for our next meeting?
Deadline's November 2nd, so
Yeah,
the
so what we've
application.
done is to have at least a placeholder. And
A letter of
supplement,
intent or something?
yes, we may not have may not have all the completed paperwork, but we'll have a cover application and
Okay, so we could perhaps anticipate having him come to our next meeting to discuss what the additional.
I don't know if it'll make sense for the next meeting, because
No, we should have him come when he's had a chance to really put together the whole project.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I just didn't know whether that could be done before our next meeting.
I would anticipate that it would happen when we schedule
In
the
December or January.
presentations.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Paul, do you feel there's going to be enough funds in the historic preservation category to cover what's gonna be requested?
Probably not.
there,
So it may go beyond and go out to open funds or
Yeah, but
unallocated funds.
one thing that Peter Wade was sort of trying to educating me on, and one of the things he learned from the state is you can, certainly you know the general fund
Yeah.
part, but you can actually approve and vote on the expected funds to come into the reserve fund for that next year. That is a legal thing to do,
Right.
according to
We've
Peter. So
done that.
yeah, so there will be, certainly with the the tax bills we all just got. I mean, there'll be a 10%
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
So again, coming out of the reserve is the best first step, and there, we can do that still, even though it looks like a
Right.
pretty low balance.
Yeah, well, Tina's chart is
Yeah.
as of August 30th.
Yeah, but we already know there's gonna be another historic application coming in too, because last meeting
With
they
Jay,
told us they're.
With Jay Camp?
So
The
Jay
survey,
said he's
yeah.
ready.
But
Yep.
the sheet that Tina emailed out to us,
Uh-huh.
we talked about it last meeting, and then she subsequently emailed to the committee. That does not include the next round of
Right,
funding.
Right.
Because the tax bills hadn't even been sent out at that
Right.
point.
And we don't know what the final statement is.
right,
Right.
but you can still legally
Yeah.
vote on it based on an estimate, which I thought that was surprising for a
Paul,
government.
is this application coming in within the discussion of the original application or additional new things are being applied for?
Town hall.
For the town hall preservation? In other words,
No, it's the same,
it's the same overall.
same overall thing.
Okay,
So I guess I would say, if you don't mind, we just
put it off.
bring in, well, yeah, but we'll have a supplemental application.
Right.
Not, rather than do the whole,
Sort of like we
Formal.
just did with the.
yeah,
Wiley
but there'll
Park,
be more
Yeah,
detail
more
needed for
detail.
this, but
But it's a similar process.
Yeah.
because it begs the question, if insurance paid for the roof, why do we need additional funds? Because something's gone beyond that. In other words,
Right, well.
we got a
shouldn't have-
windfall with the insurance.
Right, but we still,
Had
we
a
shouldn't
lot
have
to do.
given, we were premature in returning the funds.
Okay.
And maybe the
We-
premiums just tripled because of that. Just kidding, sorry.
And I think the extent of the work needed once the architectural
Yeah.
review was done,
Okay.
more than we.
Plus that original application had more than a roof. Didn't have some facing on the side of the building and stuff.
Oh, yeah, yeah, so
Yeah, it
this
did.
was the root, yeah, it's the
It's
brick,
waterproofing.
brick
it's- yeah.
repointing, fascia boards,
Right.
trim.
Yeah.
Is-
Brick repointing is very expensive.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it's a lot more than just the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, does anybody have other things that they'd like to bring up, as a result of your review of the, worksheet here?
A question, the affordable housing and North Orleans, what project is that?
That's the, where they're putting the housing down near the old Cape Cod 5.
Okay.
Where they asked for monies from different towns, just like we asked monies from different towns for the
Right.
village at Nauset Green.
I just wondered which.
Was
town.
that the,
100,000.
that wasn't the autism,
No,
the
that
special
has nothing
house?
To do with the, it
Okay.
has to do, you know, down
It's a
near.
separate project.
Yeah,
Down near, Beacon, the Beacon Restaurant down there,
Yeah.
where Cape Cod 5 is behind it.
okay,
The town of Orleans is redoing that for housing, and
Okay,
they've
great.
come to other towns to help out, just
Yep.
like we did when we
Yep.
did the village at Nauset Green.
Great.
Right.
So we won't pay that until
Right.
things are.
Down the road,
Down
yeah.
the road,
Yeah.
right.
Good.
Is there anything else on here that, as I said, some things haven't even been begun yet, even though they were approved a while back for one reason or another.
But it's great to have this with the dates and the, yeah,
Yes.
just, it's
Yeah,
very
this
useful.
this
Thanks.
is fantastic, this, what you put together
Yeah.
here, Paul. So anything, let's see, anything else? Some things obviously aren't, under the conditions, aren't scheduled to be completed at this point. Is Jay putting together, when he spoke to us at the last meeting about the survey? Is he,
Yeah, I believe they're gonna put a request in for more survey.
okay. Because there is a little bit of money left over, on that, Okay,
So we have historic will be, the survey
The town
and
hall.
town hall.
mhm. You're talking about, projects.
I'm
for
just
fiscal
looking,
year
yeah,
20.
So
and
that's what I wanted to mention.
yeah,
So preview of coming attractions. The Historic Commission, the property surveys, the town hall, historic preservation. The Minister's Schoolhouse Pond project, that's on this list.
on here.
It needs, it's still underway. There was delays due to COVID. So that project's ongoing, the water quality part, but anticipating another application to do a recreational piece down there so that for access to the pond, so some sort of dock, fishing access. I don't know the specifics yet, but that will be one.
So is that going to be, if that's in addition to the
It'll be a
68,
it'll be a separate project.
separate from the
Because I think
68,000
this one
that's
was
on
open
here?
space, the water quality. and the-
68 is ongoing and they still need that money to complete the water
Right,
quality
But a
piece.
dock and fishing might come out of active
Yeah,
recreation.
but it has to do with Minister's Pond, but it'd be a
Right.
totally separate
Right.
project.
So just before we go on to something else, that was originally scheduled to be finished in, this year.
Yeah, and so I talked to Jane Crowley
Yeah.
and there was delays due to COVID and things, so she did ask if for an extension on that.
But no, no additional monies,
No,
because that's something I had down on my list of things too. We don't really, to my knowledge, have a process in place for projects that supposedly have been or should have been completed but aren't completed, similar to what we've just discussed regarding the Wiley Park situation. So when something is supposed to be finished on it, like in that case, this year, this past July. And now they're asking for a couple more years to finish, right? But what we just put down they want couple more years. Do we have a process that they come in and say, we haven't finished it, was supposed to be finished, and now we want to get 2 more years?
I mean, in my opinion, I don't think it's necessary, but it's up to the group. If you want someone to come in and give you a status update, we can do that, but
Well, let me ask you something. Is it in the contract anywhere? When we decide to give them a grant that will expire in the year 2022? Is it in the contract?
It's in the contract that one of the conditions is that we can mutually agree to extend the contract.
So therefore, they should at minimally put in a request for an extension of time. I mean, if we have a written contract that says you're done in 2022 and they didn't even start the project yet, wouldn't it be appropriate for them to
well,
write for an amendment of a contract or whatever else?
the project started.
Oh, it did.
Oh, yeah, they've
Yeah.
done work. It just hasn't been completed yet.
Right, the project isn't due to be, it says what Paul's saying, they're going to request an extension.
Well, they haven't requested an extension.
Well, what I'm saying,
Going to request.
paperwork
an
wise, they should.
Well, I
do
guess
that.
so that's my, how would you like to handle that? What, I would say the group should, the group can vote to approve an extension. That can be noted in the
Oh, I see.
file.
Yeah.
It's up to you if you want to have a more formal, something in writing, request the extension. I can just tell you that I did talk to Jane. I said,
Yeah.
do you need an extension? She said, yes, please. And I said I would bring that back to the
Okay.
committee.
Alright.
So, yeah, I think I would be comfortable with getting an update like that and
Yeah.
agreeing it. And
The
I don't want to
motion-
say not formal, it's an open meeting and we agree to it, but that not to, have the project person have to come in unless there's something that we decide we need to hear. But I think what Paul's done is just as long as we brings it up and to a meeting and we say, sure, that sounds great.
I'd like to have the person come in if the project is supposed to be finished and say, for this reason or that reason, the project hasn't been completed, and so for this reason or that reason, I would like to request that we extend it to, in this case, 7/24.
Would it be sufficient for Jane to simply write a letter to us and say this?
Wanted to explain it in writing.
Yeah, just have her write us a letter and say she formally requests an extension. And at our next meeting, we can approve the extension.
And why?
Right.
I mean, I don't want just something saying, I want an extension until 7/24. Because the original was 7/24.
Yeah, and that can be added to the award contract.
Yeah, attached to it.
So,
Right.
well,
Yeah.
just say that like a paragraph
Yeah.
saying that should the project not proceed as anticipated, then, the entity shall apply to this committee
Well,
for
that's
an
what the
extension.
contract- That's what the contract already says,
That's,
that they can request an extension. So
yeah, but
she's-
how? I'm
Well-
saying, just say how, not
What
just
what we've done in the past is,
okay,
what we've done in
However-
the past is somebody submits a request for an extension and we
Vote
approve
on
it. It's a 1-page, please extend because of the
Oh,
circumstances.
I just heard that Jane and Paul spoken, Paul's
did.
talking about it now.
Yeah, and he's bringing it
I'm
up.
looking for a written thing, I'm looking for something.
Yeah,
in
we're- I
writing.
think we're in.
Have
violent
something
agreement.
in writing.
We're in violent agreement.
Something in writing.
Okay.
That would be,
So process for extension should be something in writing.
And voted on.
Yeah, and voted, reason why.
Yep.
Yeah.
And date.
Projected date.
Projected-
New projected.
New projected date.
Right.
And if, yeah, new projected date. Okay. And we vote on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we anticipate a application from the Housing Trust.
We discussing it at our, and approving it at our meeting next.
And I'm going to propose a request for funding for CPA administrative assistant
For,
to do all this stuff
oh, yeah.
and
Okay.
more, and more.
Well, if it's more, then we don't pay the whole bill.
Well, I mean, not, so
I think he
I
means
mean,
means
it's
more
not
than what
just-
he just mentioned, but
more than
associated
just the
with us.
clerical.
Okay,
So I'm gonna work on a job description and put in a request, so.
Right.
Then we're not using the 40,000 for
Right.
the housing coordinator,
we could use it for that.
so we have money that is just purely for the administrative, but I have some thoughts about what this job could be more than just doing the clerical
Mhm.
items,
Mhm.
and so we'll have
That sounds good.
that for discussion. That's-
So I got 6 so far, is that correct?
So I have five. You see
I
the
have 5.
survey,
I've got 6.
preservation survey,
I got the historic survey, town hall,
yeah,
And
preservation,
this is Pond.
Wiley Park, Minister Pond, Housing Trust, and CPA Administrative Assistant.
Yeah, I didn't put Wiley Park down because I figured we
yeah. I
already
didn't put
voted.
Riley Park down.
We already voted on it.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Okay, all right.
And there'll
I-
be,
I
But
have
that
six,
we
including
just,
Wiley
we
Park.
just voted on it. Yeah, okay.
there will be an open space, not from the open space committee, but there'll be a request under the open space funds for assistance with the purchase of 100 Cole Road, which,
I didn't hear what you said, the name
yeah,
of the.
sorry, 100 Cole Road. Mark Robinson from the Compact is working with Henry Lynn from the Eastham Conservation Foundation on that application for funds to assist in ECF purchasing it as a bargain sale. It's a 40,000 square foot lot, developable lot on Cole Road that is surrounded by a conservation restriction that extends from the herring run that goes all the way down from the road down to the bay. And ECF owns the beach piece down there. It's a long a history of the family, a Doan ancestor who has protected a bunch of that land with a conservation restriction. And this piece was carved out for a family member to build on. And they've negotiated with the family member for a bargain sale to include that for conservation and protect it. So they're working on that application. And it should, well, it'll be in by the deadline, probably waiting for some letters of support. I know they're asking the Conservation Commission to review the request at their next meeting to give them a letter.
So how large is this?
It's a 40,000 square foot
40,000
buildable.
Buildable lot.
It's assessed now at 447,000. The bargain sale has already been determined and it's below that. And so it still need an appraisal, which I'm sure will be above the assessed value. And there's also some other funds that have been written for grants that have already been approved. So it'll come in
So
with,
we'll be
Yeah.
paying for,
Yeah.
the request would be for part of the sale
yeah,
price.
yeah, it'll be
Okay.
part, not sure
Great.
Do you have any
exactly.
idea?
Some, probably about 100,000, I'm not sure, but it'll be well under and what the purchase price will be, which is still a bargain. And then how it's negotiated for holding a CR. If the land trust owns it, the town holds a CR. I'm not sure how that works, but we'll let town council figure that one out.
Put it on the
So-
list.
It's a good connector piece, so. That's all I know of coming for open space. So.
Good, okay. So that gives us 7 items based on my list here.
And maybe your letter to the editor might stir up some
Well,
others.
I'm hoping so. When we met with Paul last week, we talked about trying to get something out there in the press, so to speak, regarding the whole CPC process here. And you had mentioned that maybe Kayla, I'm not on Facebook, but you had said,
They're not, but I asked if we
Yeah.
could put something on there.
yeah, yeah. So are we, before we go into that, so are we in good shape here with all of the items on here that we're discussing and the process that we need to go to follow to get this squared away, straightened up? I'll give this to you, or is it?
You can keep that.
Oh, terrific, terrific. Okay, so I'd like to go on to the one other item, just I wanted to bring up the letter, we're just talking about Kayla and the Facebook, and I think all of you have received my email regarding the letter to the editor. And I thought it was something that we should do. I'm not aware that we've done anything in the past. Maybe you're more aware of anything than I might be, but
Usually we just put in something in, like a PSA in used to be in the Cape Codder. I know that's kind of. Well,
Yeah,
they
so
have the
it-
town, they have the town page, so we usually put something in there
Mhm.
as a public service announcement.
So it could go in the Provincetown Independent has that each town thing, and East
Yeah.
Town
Yeah, yeah.
lists some things. I don't know who decides that. Is it Jackie's office, whatever to put in that, or?
Well, we can, yeah, so. The
Good
thing,
idea.
we used to do it that way because it's free. They just put it
Right.
in.
The independent would decide what goes in there,
Okay.
not.
Or
us.
their reporter will contact somebody or just decide.
Well, what Wellfleet did was they did an actual ad in the paper. They paid for
Right.
Oh.
a paid ad, so it was big and noticeable.
yeah, yeah.
Would we want to consider doing something like that? We have administrative dollars that we haven't used.
I put this together because I didn't think that it was, well, it's free. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just a letter to the editor, and I wanted to get something out as quickly as possible because of the deadline, which is November 2nd. So I wanted people's thoughts on doing that. And I also did speak to Dave Hobbs at our last meeting about doing something with the Lower Cape TV, and he gave me, he spoke to his wife who's involved with it, and he gave me the name of somebody, and I haven't had a chance to get in touch with him yet to see, but my concern was timing. I mean, I think next year, maybe we should do this a little bit earlier than we've done it now. Because I'm not sure that many people understand or even know what the process is, and
And next year, when we have the administrative assistant, that's something that they can do. Right.
so, I'm open to comments, and I know, Joanna has one, and you see, I think, you see, did I,
And I gave you my.
yeah, I'm
comments.
looking to see whether I have, whether that's what I have, or where I put it. Is this the one that you're? Is this the one that you gave me, or?
Mine has italics in it.
Yeah, okay, that's the one on
instead of
top
all
here.
caps.
Yeah, okay. As far as the website is concerned, is that what you're talking about? The italics?
In the first paragraph.
Oh, no, I don't know. What did I do with the one that you sent me? I passed out copies to everybody, and now I don't know. what I did.
I have your original, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't have
Yeah, yeah.
Carolyn on
I
there.
can resend it to you.
I
That
thought-
must be it,
I
'cause
think
you've got
this
blue.
is- I think this
Okay.
is one. Yeah, I think that's the one.
Oh, here it is. These are in italics.
Yeah, but so, is that different?
That's what it's different.
Oh.
See the font? That's different.
Oh,
So
okay.
that is the one, chief.
Okay, is the one you.
The one
I thought I
Carolyn
put it
gave
on
you.
top, but when you.
Yeah, it
said
is. That's
you
the
said-
one.
Okay. So,
I just think that it's easy to read.
Okay.
so
Oh,
you're,
then the
you're just changing the
font.
the font.
Well,
There are other changes in
the
it too.
newspaper
Just-
will do
Oh,
that.
I haven't read it.
You could just read it when you have time side by side, and
Okay.
I'm happy for you to decide.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
you've got-
paper won't do all caps. They'll
We've
take.
got
they'll take
something
out
to
that
date, the
stuff.
CPC is allocated over black dollars for allowable community projects. I didn't have that on here, on mine. And you had something too.
Yeah,
Joanne.
mine was more, it's the real challenge of trying to get people to understand the value of open space that doesn't have active use on it. And so your examples are all great ones, but they're all, you know, what we can use this for. We can play tennis, we can live, I mean, they're great. But that's, you know, the open space piece of not development, it's getting people to understand the value of not doing something for people to actively use it, which is protecting our water, protecting our air, our wildlife, and the passive use. So I was thinking, but I mean, this is still fine. These examples people, you know, connect more easily to,
Mhm.
but that's the challenge with the
Mhm.
open space
Yeah,
for not, you know, that's separate from active recreation. The understanding that value, it's a tough one. I thought of maybe the Rock Harbor Beach, you know, you can walk your dog on that, but it's
no, I
hard.
think your point is well taken,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking to myself, and I was trying to think of something that would fit what you're trying to accomplish, and I was wondering, the thing that I came up with was perhaps Sandy Meadow and,
And that's still not protected.
yeah, no, I wasn't thinking of protect, I was just thinking of open space. Because as
Yeah.
you say, and I agree with you, I have things on here regarding recreation. I have things down here regarding
Yeah.
affordable housing. I have things down here regarding preservation. And I don't have anything specifically
Right.
noted for open space.
And the word limit, I don't know what it is for the, you know, the Cape Cod Times, but it's very short. So it's hard to, you know, have everything in there, and, you know, it might be the one. Again, I think the idea is to get this in quickly, to get people to look at and figuring out how to put the value on open space is gonna take more than that, but
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, the purpose of this letter isn't to justify that we're spending money on any of these four areas. It's simply to say money is available.
right,
So
right.
it's not, we're not trying to create a value proposition. We're just trying to say
Yep.
money is available. If you want more information, here's who you contact.
Yeah.
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
so I think that's
Mhm.
good.
I have space. I mean, in the letters to the editor, you're allowed to have 250 words, and I have 181 with mine. So I have space to add something regarding open space. And I could do something in that, which I think would be in the first paragraph.
Yeah.
I'll leave it up to if people are content with
I mean, I
me.
think the beach on Rock Harbor might be the best, because it's a pretty, you know, you can go there and it's passive recreation, and that was open space funds and a huge amount. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
I agree with that. One thing I tried to do, Paul knows I keep saying this over and over, but anything that we send out that goes out to the community should be written at a reading level of about ninth grade.
Say seventh, yeah.
And so part of my edits were trying to get the readability level down to a lower level so that it's easily understood by everyone in the community. It's sort of a communication standard to try to do that. So,
I mean, I'm looking at it now because I haven't seen it until just a few minutes
you
ago.
asked me not to reply.
Yeah,
so-
right.
Yeah,
didn't
and
want to for
I
the meeting.
Replied, and then I sent another one, oops, does not follow instructions.
Pretend I didn't contact you.
Right.
You can do one at a time.
Yeah,
without-
right, yeah.
But don't reply all. I've learned.
Right. So that's one of the
Yeah.
things Mary had tried to do, is to go through and shorten some sentences and break up some things, and just to make it fit that readability standard.
I'm looking to see that, yeah, okay. Does anybody else have any? Any comments from you, Ed?
Oh, I thought it was an excellent letter. I think that, you know, I think it draws attention to the CPC, and in a positive light, and hopefully, somebody will pick up on it and follow through with an application.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, so I will take Joanna's comments, your comments, redo little things here and there, and I'm gonna send it off to the Cape Cod Times.
In the
Perfect.
Provincetown Independent.
P-Town Independent, a lot of folks have just.
Send, I
canceled.
can send it to the Provincetown Independent. You're saying
Absolutely.
that's free?
Yep.
Because I know Cape Cod Times.
Well,
is
they'll
free.
have to choose it, of course, but I mean, a lot
yeah,
of folks
that's
have
true for the
canceled
Cape
both
Cod
the
Times
Cape
too.
Cod, both the Cape Cod Times and the Cotter. And only do
Cape Cod Times
Provincetown.
and the,
the Cotter, Cape Cotter.
In the
Yeah.
Provincetown Independent.
I'm not, the Cape Codder, nobody gets the Cape Codder. Does anybody get the Cape Codder?
Well.
My
people have
dad still
canceled
does.
it Because.
I've
it's-
canceled it.
Yeah, well,
We canceled.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
canceled it too.
and the P-Town has picked up.
I get the Provincetown Independent because it's a lot
Good.
better than
Yeah.
the
Very good.
Cape Codder.
We've gone to the Boston Globe. As a regular newspaper. now.
Yeah, I do too.
By the way, I'll pass this around. This is Town Hall. it's not dated. It's an old postcard, but look how tall the cupola is.
Where did you get it?
I have no idea where I found it.
Have a date on it?
No, I didn't see one. But it's
Hey,
interesting.
guys, I gotta excuse myself. I gotta get some ice on my knee.
No,
Okay.
we're ready to adjourn.
Good luck.
Oh, okay.
Good luck, Ed. So I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn. Our next meeting is November 2nd at 5 o'clock. And the application deadline is that day at 4 o'clock.
Yep.
Yeah. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Joanna,
Second.
second, Joanna and
You're too fast.
Joanna and Dan.
Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ed,
Yes, yes.
6, 6, 0.